You cannot incite hate, incite murder. That's what they're doing.
Well, the First Amendment has nothing to do with what people can do. It gives you the right of free speech, impeding your right to free speech. All right, which is a very different thing. That doesn't mean that the speech that you utter, people, well, they're depending on what kind of harm that is, then you may have consequences. For example, your fire in a crowded theater example. I mean, can they make it against the law to do that? No, they can.
Hey,
Absolutely.
your microphone's cutting in and out.
Yeah, it's a Bluetooth.
Oh, so the microphone you're using is your Bluetooth thing? Okay.
I wonder if I can switch. Nope. So anyway, what was I saying?
Well, I couldn't hear you.
What was I saying before that?
Oh, yeah, about the First Amendment, about the abuse of it and everything.
Oh yeah, the First Amendment. It's they protect your right to say anything, not your freedom of consequences from saying things. So there can be consequences of what you're saying, but it's not necessarily going to be a, you know, you may have to pay for it. If some people are hurt by virtue of something that you say, then you could be held legally accountable for it.
Right.
People do. I mean, there are things that people can say that cause criminal consequences. I mean, so it's not an absolute right to say whatever you want with no consequence. I mean, can I walk into a bank and say, am I suddenly not guilty of bank robbery? Nope. Those things, I still get held accountable for it because you can be. What the government can't do is keep you from holding certain ideas and expressing those ideas.
And nobody's stopping anybody.
No.
But, once again, when, people don't seem to realize when it comes to the private sector and the private workplace and everything else, they have their own rules. I mean, you work for a boss.
Even when you work for the government, you can't just say whatever you want to say.
No. You can't even be political, really. Actually, you had to sign
You're not supposed to be political.
Right. Most government agencies and actually most financial institutions have I forgot which act it is, but anyway, they make you sign some sort of document saying that you will not be politically active while you're working for a financial institution or while you're working for a government institution or anything like that. And I know for government, it's the Hatch Act, everything else. So they don't want you to be involved in campaigns, pushing a narrative that's going to be for or against the people that are funding them or not funding them.
Well, they can't prohibit you, and they don't prohibit you from being involved in them, but you cannot, like if you're a soldier, you cannot wear a uniform.
Right.
You
to
can't
a campaign.
to a campaign event.
No.
And campaign event, you're not even supposed to be introduced as a government employee. You're really not supposed to be introduced as a politician, but they can't really throttle the politicians. But government employees, they absolutely can throttle you and say that you can't talk about this sort of thing and be introduced as like the director of solid waste or
judge candidates seem to get away with it differently than judicial candidates seem to get away with it differently because it's really technically non-political because it is nonpartisan. And so they hide behind that being nonpartisan, non-political to where they can actually talk about their military career and wear their uniforms and outfits and advertisements and so on and so forth. However, if you run for state rep or Congress or something like that, you wear your uniform, they're going to get a little pissy.
Yeah, they're getting a little twitchy on that.
But lawyers who are running for judge, they usually give them a pass. And some people do complain, but the complaints they kind of go into a really blank wall.
Yeah. I mean, it just usually gets either held on until people just quit asking about it, or they just give some dismissive technical reason to get rid of it, and off it goes.
Right.